Greetings and salutations and welcome to episode 153 of Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry, that's the Stoner, and Trev here has returned in a healthy state. Trev, always happy to have you back and glad that you are okay. Look at him all decked out in his Commanders stuff as well. Is that a Carson Wentz jersey you got on, my friend?
I mean, it is. It's the day of the backup quarterbacks, apparently, so I might as well just support mine.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I don't necessarily love the move to Jacoby Brissett. We'll be talking about that here in the warm-up. Of course, in the cool-down, we'll have game predictions, bold predictions, like how many sacks is the returning Chase Young going to have here against his former team? I got double goose eggs for both of them. It's going to be more than that. It's going to be more than that. And then, of course, we'll talk about the game against the 49ers in the game. Although I imagine, much like last week, the game is secondary to everything else going on with this team. And we'll probably talk a little bit more about things surrounding there. But here we go into the warm-up here. Jacoby Brissett named the starter today. Probably not going to move the needle against the 49ers. And you, of course, can check what is happening with the line on Bet Online. Just head over there. They'll give all your sports wagering news and info right at your fingertips. Head over to Bet Online. Use the code BELIEVE, BLEAV. Get yourself 50% off on your welcome bonus there. And your first deposit, a welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. Of course, bet responsibly is the Ref the District code there, as we're a bunch of nincompoops and can't get it right. And of course, neither can Ron Rivera. This will be his 8th starting QB since 2020. None of them seeming to work out. Sam Howell getting benched a 3rd time in 3 weeks. What in the world, Trav, is going on there in Ashburn?
Your guess is as good as mine. Ron's on his way out. He's saying, what the hell? Let's just shake something up. I'm not going to be here in a couple weeks anyway. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's really, we're bad, okay? Okay, for like we're bad. True. But it's really, really annoying and repetitive to see the same poor quarterback play week after week after week. I mean, we're out of the playoffs. Maybe you want to see how this offense can actually operate with EB calling the plays with a veteran-style quarterback. So it's time. I mean, some people say it's pointless. You got 2 games left. Let Sam ride it out. But I'm with the crowd I want to see something different. I mean, we saw a preview of that the past 2 weeks after Sam's been benched. Brissett's come in and led touchdown drives with ease, it seems like. So, it is what it is. I'm over it. 2 weeks left. I guess it's just hey, this is my last hurrah before I leave to see if we can pull out a W somehow before I get out of here. So that's my only guess.
Stoner grunting in the background.
I don't know, man.
It is going to be absolutely rough, and we got a lot of opinions to share on here, including those in the Don't Sleep chat here for the warm up. And we have everything ranging from Sam Howell's QBR against the Jets was 1.7. He deserved to be benched. Okay. He absolutely, if we were looking at this from the perspective of just pure quarterback play, he deserved to be benched, but you can't just look through it like that. And a lot of people going with this route that Rodgers going with, that Eric Benamy did his best to ruin Sam, maybe not quite deliberately, but here Rodgers saying that Sam Howell could be saved. A lot of believers in Sam Howell, and Gus Bus being one of them, who was a howler early on, real excited. Like myself, I was a howler early on as well. And then as the year went on, you started to really see the flaws kind of come through here. Gus Bus saying that he, in fact, had a better impression of Dwayne Haskins at the end of 2019 than he does of Sam Howell right now. And that's pretty bad, because I could tell at the end of 2019, Dwayne Haskins wasn't it. We've got 2 games left, so I'm not going to completely close the book on Sam Howell, although let's face it, the book has been closed on Sam Howell. Yeah. Doug joining us as well. He's got the caps on the big TV, and we are on the laptop. Appreciate you tuning in.
Wiz.
The Wizards are playing right now. Cap's a little bit better of a team there for there. And of course, we've got Andrew showing up as well, saying re-sign Jacoby Brissett.
Oh Lord.
It's gonna be one of those times, guys. It's been fun in the house, the Perry household this last couple of days here. It's been a banner week for EP. Jarrett Patterson, JFP, Jarrett frickin' Patterson gets signed into the practice squad. His new number looks ugly, by the way. I can't believe he can't get the number from Terrell Burgess, but that's another matter. So she's happy JFP's back in town. And then she has been calling for Jacoby Brissett to start since preseason.
Yeah.
She was never a howler. She didn't believe in Sam Howell's ability to play, thought Jacoby Brissett is a better quarterback, which he probably,
I don't know that to be true, but okay.
He probably is. But yeah, so banner week for EP here. And so she's been gloating to include coming up right before the broadcast and being all, I told you so.
Oh.
It's rough. It's rough, gentlemen. Stoner, you have been pro win football games. Okay. Jacoby Brissett does give Washington a better chance to win football games, but you're grunting and you're not happy.
I'm not happy about a lot of things.
Why specifically about the benching of Sam Howell are you not happy?
First of all, I think I deserve a medal. I've gone 7 minutes without screaming or jumping in or interrupting either of you two. So I deserve some sort of medal. Second of all, let me just say this.
the bag is back. The bag is back.
I hate it here. I hate this same situation that we're in year after year after year after year. I'm so freaking tired of it. But what makes me so angry about this whole thing, and I'm going to ask both of you, and I'm going to ask the chat, and maybe some people have already mentioned it in the chat already, but you're going to have to retype it because I'm asking you to. Tell me why, what is the upside to starting Jacoby Brissett this last 2 weeks, or at least this week? What is the upside?
You can win a football game? Not
from you as a fan, from those who are making the decisions. What is the upside to starting Jacoby Brissett? I'm asking honestly. Trev.
Honestly, I'm just basing off the two instances he's come in for us. He knows the offense, it seems like. He trusts his instincts. You get to see a veteran quarterback in this new offense that EB has presented to us. That's one upside. I mean, it's really hard to find one, to be quite honest, with 2 games left. But yeah, you get to see what an offense looks like with a veteran running it.
What good does that do, Ron Rivera? What good does that do, Martin Mayhew? What good does that do anybody who's in charge in making the decisions? I'm just asking because I need to know this.
I don't think it has anything to do with them. I think it kind of has something to do with EB and maybe Josh Harris and the ownership group when it comes to picking a quarterback for this team. Do we roll with a veteran free agent that's, available, or do we take a swing at one of these hot commodities like every year there are quarterbacks coming in the draft?
Wait, who did you say is making that decision?
Josh Harris and
Marty's.
It ain't the Martys and them. I think it's
who is it?
I mean, it's Ron making the decision.
Freaking hot, man.
Probably for Josh Harris and them to kind of maybe help them get a better idea. I don't know, Stoner. I don't know. There is no
right. I'm asking, and I'm not trying to attack you specifically, Trev. Because all of the points you're making are points that are out there that people are throwing out there that Josh Harris needs to know, that Marty needs to know. We need to know if EB's offense is actually any good. We need to know if Sam Howell was actually the problem and not EB, that Jacoby Brissett can come in here. None of these people that we're talking about, none of them, Trev, Nathan, everybody in the chat, none of them are going to be making a decision on quarterback next year. And I'll be damned if Josh Harris is going to be making the decision at quarterback next year. He better not be. He needs to stay as far away from this decision as possible. There's no upside. The only upside, let me rephrase that. The only reason that anything exists in this organization today and this entire season is to find out if Sam Howell is your quarterback of the future. Every decision that is made from here on out has to do with the quarterback position. And right now, that position belongs to Sam Howell. Jacoby Brissett is not the quarterback of the future. Jacoby Brissett is not going to be here next year, whether as a bridge or as a one-time starter or as a back. He's not going to be here, period. These type of quarterbacks assign one-year deals. They don't come in here and sit and be the backup quarterback or bridge quarterback. They go to places that they believe they have a chance to win a starting job. That's what they do. He's not going to be here. This is not about Jacoby. It's not about Eric Benamy. It's not about Martin Mayhew or the other Marty. It's not about any of those people. It's all about Sam Howell. So there's no reason to simply say, let's turn to Jacoby Brissett at this case, because you're not going to learn anything. If Jacoby Brissett goes out there and balls, well, we're all going to nitpick and we're going to look at it and we're going to say, well, he had twice as many I formation under center play action passes as Sam did, or he had a different offensive line, or he was playing against a different type of defense. He was playing against more zone than man-to-man, or vice versa. There is no apples-to-apples comparison with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback than Sam Howell. It makes zero sense to do this. Zero. And I can't find anything that tells me why Jacoby Brissett should be playing quarterback this week.
Well, to kind of counter what you're saying, well, I'm going to agree with what I'm going to agree with what you're saying first. Okay. You're absolutely right that you can't compare the two, and that people are already making excuses for Jacoby's good play versus Sam Howell's bad play. Also, the run game is being used more, and the defenses he are facing are different. And you see that quite a bit. But Mr. Cool might have the answer for you on why Jacoby Brissett is starting. Thanks, Mr. Cool, for commenting here. Hallelujah. Jacoby Brissett might actually be the QB of Washington's future. 31 is still pretty young. Elway won Super Bowls back-to-back when he was pushing 40. Think about it. You had Tom Brady winning Super Bowls in his 40. You had Peyton Manning winning it at a late stage. Aaron Rodgers is like 42, and if he ever gets out of his darkness retreat and stays healthy, he is still a good QB. Why can't Jacoby Brissett be?
You just mentioned 4 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, and you're going to say, why can't Jacoby Brissett be a top 10 quarterback in the history of the NFL?
Yeah.
He can't. He's not. He's not that guy. He's never been that guy. He never will be that guy. We have to stop comparing things. We have to stop comparing Sam Howell's stats to Trevor Lawrence's stats. We also got to stop comparing Sam Howell's stats to Peyton Manning's first-year stats. We also have to stop comparing Sam Howell's stats to Zach Wilson's stats, and so on and so on and so on. Things you just can't continually bring up things that have happened in the past and say, therefore, this guy can do it. Use your eyes, use your brain, and watch them play football and say whether or not this is the guy who's going to lead a team to a championship or be a quarterback like John Elway, who quarterbacked 4 Super Bowl losses as well through all of those years and was an MVP player and as a Hall of Fame player. Then he finally got it done at that older age. I get it. But Aaron Rodgers did it late. He also did it early. He didn't win a championship, but he's a great player late as well as early. Same with Peyton Manning. He was a great player from the start, and he did late as well. And Tom Brady was a great player from the start. I'm not saying from day one.
Sure.
They may have had rough rookie years.
Yeah, rough rookie years indeed. And that's actually
they were great players already.
P&W Trout Slayer's kind of argument on the other side with Sam Howell And
Oh
you're
my gosh.
talking about not comparing Jacoby Brissett to some of the greats, but PNW here wants to go the way with Sam Howell here. I was going to mention this. PNW says, what was Peyton Manning's first year record? What was Troy Aikman's? What was Steve Young's, etc.? Too many of our fans were expecting a Super Bowl this season. Trev, why can't we look at Sam Howell's record and compare it to some of those other quarterbacks that PNW listed and say, hey, he just needs time to develop even after being benched here?
Because it's a different era. It's a different
That's
era
fair.
of football. It's a different game of football. Those quarterbacks that are mentioned were ground and pound, and they weren't throwing for like 4,000, 5,000 yards, multiple 6 touchdown games. Like, it wasn't happening. They were all, if you think about it, and I could catch a lot of flack, but during that time, they were all game managers that had good surrounding pieces around them. Not saying that they couldn't do it themselves, but you know what I mean? They weren't the Patrick Mahomes. They weren't electric. They weren't the Josh Allens, the Lamar Jacksons, the Michael Vicks. Like, those quarterbacks were Statue of Liberty quarterbacks with surrounding pieces and good offensive line and great coaching. Now the game has changed. So now they want to protect the quarterback more than they did back then. So that's why they were great back then, because they were getting their heads taken off. Nowadays, the quarterbacks are getting touched with hands and getting penalties called for them. So it's a different style of game. And also, Sam Howell's a 5th-round draft pick. I mean, these quarterbacks, they were all great, but they were all dime a dozen. Like, they don't happen as often as they used to. I mean, I don't have a real answer for that, but this just outside of, there's no reason to compare Sam Howell's stats to the greats of the game, and the style of the game is different. Comparing to Mahomes, Josh Allen, the Derek Carrs, the Russell Wilsons, like this generation stats. Stop comparing to Troy Aikman, Steve Young, and all
Russell
that.
Wilson, by the way, benched today as well.
Exactly.
Not a good week for shorter quarterbacks, that's for certain. Could you imagine being benched by Stidham? That's gotta hurt.
Yeah.
You're with
much
Gregory
better than Jacoby Brissett, but I'm just goofing. All right, so Gregory brought that up, and he said comparisons are tiresome. They absolutely are to me.
Mm-hmm.
For every comparison that you have, I have the exact opposite comparison as well that I can bring up. For every Troy Aikman, Peyton Manning, John Elway, or Steve Young, guys who struggled their first year, well, I can give you the Zach Wilsons and the Mitch Trubiskys and the Josh Rosens are all quarterbacks who also struggled mightily in their first year, and they were what they were. They were bad quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. So you can compare all you want, but you have to take what you see in front of you, and you can watch Sam Howell. And I'm not saying Sam Howell may turn around and become a Hall of Famer somehow, but we all don't see that. Nobody sees that. No scout ever saw it. That's why he was drafted in the 5th round. No GM ever thought. Ron Rivera never thought it. Nobody thought it. People chose Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, Desmond Ritter, who's the Bailey Zappi. They chose all of these guys before
who's the kid
anybody
in Tennessee?
chose Sam Howell. I can't
Willis.
Malik Willis. Everybody thought that
their
team would be better off with those guys than Sam Howell. Why? Because they saw all of Sam Howell's flaws. And then Ron just took a flyer on him. It's the same thing kind of with Brock Purdy. Everybody wants to give credit to Kyle Shanahan for Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy should have never, ever been given the chance to be the quarterback that he has become. Kyle Shanahan didn't say, "Oh, Brock Purdy, let's put him in." He got put in because his first choice, Jimmy Garoppolo, was hurt. His second choice that he traded a ton of draft picks for, Trey Lance, got hurt and eventually figured out he wasn't any good. Then they were like, well, I guess we have to go with Brock Purdy. And then all of a sudden, whoa, this guy's got something, and they're working with him. You can credit Kyle Shanahan for developing, but you can't credit him for finding him. He fell into their laps, and he only reason he played is because of injury. Sam Howell is Sam Howell. He was a 5th-round draft pick for a reason. We all say that, but there's a good reason behind that. There's 100 good reasons behind it. And we just have to stop comparing it. It's like what we talked about again. Should Washington not draft a guy in the 2nd round because they've had 12 consecutive failures at second round, that has no bearing on what this second round pick is going to do in this upcoming draft. Should they not move up to get the best quarterback that they can possibly get in the draft because RG3 failed in 2012? No, that has nothing to do with what's going to happen this year. You got to stop comparing to what's happened in other places, because for every comparison you have, I have the counter comparison as well. Or somebody has it, or I'll research it, or whatever. Maybe not the tip of my tongue. So comparisons do suck. I believe that. Everything has to be a case-by-case basis based on what you see, what you evaluate, and what you determine to be the best thing going forward.
Now, one of the things that is interesting is kind of the verbiage that Ron Rivera was using. He said that this wasn't an indictment, that this is a reset for Sam Howell. And benching is absolutely an indictment. And I don't understand.
100%.
Like, I guess I understand why he's trying to curb it a little bit, but it's an absolute indictment on his play. The Hawk TV here says the Sports Junkies EB stated he needed a reset, he being Sam Howell, after having a bye week. And I think that's one of the things that is kind of interesting with the conversation around this benching, is that Sam Howell needs a reset. Washington had a late bye week. Sam Howell wasn't playing well into the bye week. Sam Howell had the bye week reset, and Sam Howell wasn't playing good after the bye week. But now he needs a reset here in week 17. Why are they really trying to like work, and do this PR business, Trev, on benching him? Why can't Ron Rivera or Eric Benamy tomorrow during his press conference just say, hey, Sam Howell wasn't playing good enough, so we benched him? Why can't they do that, Trev?
Because that's not Ron's MO. He hasn't come out and said a clear statement since he's been hired, other than Happy Thanksgiving, when that was Dan Snyder who said that. So anyway, he's been a smoke guy the whole time. He never comes out and says like something very blunt. It's always beating around the bush, everything. Oh, it's not personal. It's a reset. We're going to develop it, go back and look at things and develop. It's never like, oh, he just flat out sucked, we need a spark. You hear other coaches say it and nobody says anything. So why can't Ron Rivera say it? If he's such a disciplined man and such a, all about this and all about that, why can't he just be blunt and straightforward? EB in his press conferences said he might do it. EB might do it because he's been the most straightforward coach we've had since I don't know how long. I don't know, but it's very annoying. It's very I just can't wait. 2 weeks left. And yeah, like you said, we lost 6 straight games. You wait till we lose 6 straight games, which happens to bring us to 2 weeks left, to be like, oh, he needs a reset.
Yeah.
We were 4-5 6 games ago. We were in a hunt for playoffs at 4-5 because the NFC is so wide open this year, like it is every year. We were right there. After the 3-game skid, you should have been benched and had a reset. But you wait for 6 games, which equals the 2 weeks left, and says, oh, it's time for a reset. The man holds the record for NFL sacks. I'm surprised his body is not blue, black, purple, and yellow already. Like, he should have had a break and a reset 3 games ago. So I don't have an answer to a lot of these questions, because at this point, it's just like, WTF.
You guys know my absolute love and respect for the Sports Junkies, and especially Eric Bickle being the only fan of the Commanders of those 4 guys.
Yeah.
And he did say that maybe he needs a reset. He tried to say that it's like a golfer who's just been bad week after week after week. Maybe he just needs to sit out a week and then come back and get a mental reset. But it's also the same guy, Eric Bickle, EB on the Junkies, who has preached for as long as I've listened to him and known that show, that the only thing that makes you better is reps. Mm-hmm. And reps is what makes you better, not non-reps. I don't believe that non-reps make you better. I don't believe sitting on the bench watching somebody else do your job makes you a better player.
Not going to make you a better player.
There are people who believe that believe that he just needs to sit there and watch somebody else do it. I don't believe it. He sat there and watched for 16 games last year, watched somebody else do it, watched 2.
To be fair, he's watching Taylor Heineke do it. That's not really fair.
Watching Jacoby Brissett. Let's not start putting Jacoby Brissett on some pedestal that he's some world beater and that he's some great player. He's a journeyman backup bridge quarterback. That's all he is, and that's all he'll ever be.
I think the reason why people have that thought is just because of the way he's played. But like people, if you know the job of a backup quarterback, he's doing what he's supposed to do.
Sure.
He's supposed to come in, take the game over, and keep it and manage it, and maybe put the team in the best position to win. And he's done that every time he's been subbed in. So it's not like he said, "Oh, if we started him 5 weeks ago, we made the playoffs." No, he was signed at the beginning of the year as a backup quarterback. Maybe not paid like that, but his job was to come in and quote unquote, because Ron Burgundy, that's who he is. Ron Burgundy wants to use all the smoke, saying, we might have a little bit of competition. No, there was no competition. It was always Sam Howell. Jacoby is a backup quarterback. That's what he is. His days in Cleveland was a backup. Deshaun Watson, whatever, he came in and took over. Indianapolis, he came in and took over. He's never been a clear-cut starter since entering the league. So if you know the position of the backup quarterback, he's doing exactly what the backup quarterback's supposed to do.
Right.
That's it.
Right. And sitting Sam Howell to watch Jacoby Brissett manage a football game is not going to make Sam Howell a better player. No. Sam Howell going out there and fighting, play after play, even if it's bad, will make Sam Howell a better football player. It may not be anything good enough, but it will make him a better. Reps will always make you a better player in any sport at any time. I will never believe that. I will never believe that LeBron James would be better player today if he sat out a whole bunch of games and watched other players do his job. That doesn't make him a better player. And I'm not trying to compare Sam Howell to LeBron James. I'm just trying to go to the extreme and say that sitting doesn't help. I don't believe that. And maybe it'll help with Sam. I don't know, but I just don't see it.
There are people who would say that Aaron Rodgers benefited from sitting behind Brett Favre. And
I know,
previously that was the mentality. Well, I'm just saying previously the mentality with QBs was that you were supposed to let them sit on the bench for a year or two. And
Sam
then
sat
kind
for
of
a bench for a year.
Not a full year, and he was also
in front of you.
Carson Wentz
sitting.
We got the Carson Wentz jersey, and Taylor
Jordan
Heineke.
Love's doing it right now. Jordan Love sat behind Aaron Rodgers all those years, and now he's got a chance.
And he's looking fairly decent. Maybe not great.
And if I might say, Josh Allen did not sit for a year and came in right away, and there was no problem with Josh Allen. And for every comparison that you have, when you say Patrick Mahomes sat out a year. Let's not forget that, right? Yeah, Mahomes sat a year. Jordan Love sat how many years? 2-3 years? Aaron Rodgers sat for a couple of years. Brett Favre sat for a couple of years. A lot of these players sat. Steve Young was in a different league for a couple of years before he finally got. And then when he went to San Fran, still sat for a couple of years behind Montana. Sure. But again, I can give you 100 guys who didn't sit and were brilliant from the beginning, or they struggled at the beginning and then became brilliant. There's no one way to look at that. This is what Sam needs, and this will make him a better quarterback. There's just so many other options. And I wanted to say that I was trying to get to this reason, but I have the reason why they're making the switch. I have the reason I'm not even going to give it the tinfoil hat sort of theory. This is the reason why they're benching him. Eric Benamy has got to save face, and he has got to show that his offense is not as bad as Sam Howell has made it look for the last 2 months of this season. He has got to prove, because he's out of a job. You guys know he's out of a job. He's not going to be the head coach for this team. That's ridiculous for people to say that. He has to show that he doesn't have to go to another team and become their assistant quarterbacks coach next year. He has to prove that he can go on to be an offensive coordinator again for another team, or a head coaching job with another team. This is all Eric Benamy driven. This is what Ron Rivera does. He takes care of his people. He gives them titles. Let's not forget Eric Benamy is the assistant head coach or associate head coach, whatever you want to call it. A title was given to him to give him more money, give him more power, give him more sort of cachet out there to everybody else. And his system has been failing this year. And he's got to show everybody it's not Sam Howell. I mean, it's not me. It is Sam Howell. My system is fine. Hire me next year as either a head coach or the offensive coordinator. That's why they did it.
I'm not going to disagree. I don't even think it's necessarily tinfoil hat worthy. I think that it is simply at this point, Sam Howell, whether or not, when you're talking about this team is under evaluation, they can't evaluate players with Sam Howell having a quarterback rating of 1.7. And you're sitting there and looking at the full thing, and Eric Benamy needs this to improve. The Terry McLaurin needs it to get to 1,000 and hit his milestone. You need, there's players on this team that need this change up at QB. And it is unfortunate, though. I mean, it was so sad to hear the news today, even though you expected it because it was telegraphed since Sunday. And even though it was needed because Sam's has played these last few games, these last 2 months of play now haven't been good. Sam Howell is actually the 9th most yards in a season. And it loses the chance at getting a 4,000-yard quarterback for the first time since Kirk Cousins, who famously, by the way, as Silver Fox is bringing up, in 2014 and 2015, Cousins was being benched and played and then benched and then played. So
for Colt McCoy, it was McCoy and maybe just McCoy.
Yeah.
Josh Johnson, maybe. I don't know.
Is there oh God, that's a name I never want to hear here again. Is there any, Stoner, you're talking about hating comparisons, but is there any hope for Sam Howell having the Kirk Cousins kind of rise? Trev is shaking his head. Why don't you expand on that for me, Trev? Kirk Cousins again benched on and off and comes out. I'm not going to say Kirk Cousins is a great QB. I do have you like that behind me here, but he is a good QB. He's probably one of the top 15, top 10 quarterbacks in the league when healthy.
He is.
It's just
die for Kirk Cousins here.
I mean, it seems like Sam Howell has the physical attributes for the most part to be a quarterback, just not the confidence or the mental reps or I don't want to say intelligence because I don't want to question that, but the trait where you retain information.
What about
easier than
processing?
Others. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, processing and learning how to read. Because right before we jumped on, I was on Twitter and JP Finley asked Terry McLaurin, and Terry said just the way that Jacoby has his pre-snap reads, like he knows where he's going to go with the ball. The way the safeties are leveraged out, he knows who's going to has a better chance of being open. Just little intricate things like that. Maybe that's the difference because Sam Howell just doesn't have that ability or is not capable of doing that yet. It seemed like Kirk Cousins did have that from the beginning. He was just making the rookie mistakes. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Because we took 2 quarterbacks in one draft for a reason.
Right.
Because Kirk was probably smart, but RG3 was with the Heisman and had the athletic ability and played at a bigger school, this and that. But Kirk was probably put up the same numbers. I don't even know. I'm just going off guesses, but put up the same kind of performance, just not electric enough. And I think that's why I don't think this is going to be a Kirk Cousins situation because Kirk still makes bonehead plays, but he also is a gunslinger. He takes chances. He has confidence in his ability, and he's very, very, very hard on himself. If you watch the quarterback special Netflix, you saw how, dedicated he is to the game of the position of quarterback. And I don't see that from Sam Howell. He's still trying to process being benched. And it's like, you were benched 2 weeks ago. You were projected first-round pick and dropped to the 5th round. His confidence has been shot, and he's used to winning, getting his way in North Carolina. It's a different – I mean, it's just all kinds of different things. It's just – but not the physical stuff. He's a gunslinger. He can run you over. It's hard to sack him. I mean, unless he's right in your face. It is, but he's been sacked a lot. But it is hard to sack him at times. But he just doesn't have the capability of retaining the information as and the dedication as Kirk Cousins has.
What we don't know as people who are not inside the building and who are sitting there watching him watch film and process the plays and go out and do the reps in practice every day that they work on and over. We don't know any of that stuff. But when you watch the games, we sit there and we complain about the offensive line. We complain about the receivers dropping balls. We complain about the receivers not being open. We complain about the defense constantly putting the offense in bad situations or just not helping the offense by getting the ball back to him plenty of times. A lack of a running game. All of these things combine, and his inability to see open receivers or his inability to process the routes that are going on and what's happening pre-snap during the play. Is he going through? We don't know all of those. It could be a combination of all of those things, but all you have to really do is watch him play and watch him consistently. And this is over the last 6 or 7 games, consistently not be able to get the job done. If you want to say it's EB, you can say it's EB. If you want to say it's Ron Rivera, you could say it's Ron Rivera, but you could say all of those things. It could be him, as you said, constantly getting sacked and beat up and bruised and all that other stuff. It could be none of those things. It could be all of those things. It could be only one of those things. But the bottom line is he's not getting the job done, and therefore you can't trust him to be this team's quarterback of the future.
No.
But still, I would like to see him go out there and have 2 more chances at it and to get more data, more reps, more data to be able to make an informed decision. But then I think the biggest sort of the biggest factor in all of this is the people who are going to make the decision about quarterback. They don't even know they're going to be making a decision about Washington's quarterback situation today. They have no idea that they're going to be hired to be the GM and the head coach of this organization. But they're the ones that are going to make the decision. So all of this stuff that we keep talking about with it should be Sam, it should be Jacoby. Jacoby should start, Sam should start. We need a new O-line. We have no idea of the decision makers and what their plan is going to be this offseason. They might come in and say it's Sam Howell. They might come in and say it's Jacoby Brissett. We have no clue.
Nah, we do know it can't be those two. Like, come on, we know that, right?
I don't know that it won't be Sam Howell.
They very well could go
it.
Offensive line and a whole bunch of other things to build up, and we have another season of Sam Howell. And if that's
but then we got to go through another offense of learning for Sam Howell, and it's going to be a repeat.
For sure.
I'm just saying that if we hire the right people and that's the route they want to go, give it the year, and then maybe they draft their guy the second year. We never know. It's going to be interesting. We've got plenty of time to talk about the draft and whether or not a QB would be right for Washington.
I mean,
right now we're talking about Jacoby Brissett named the starter, Sam Howell being benched for the 3rd time in 3 weeks. Joey Donuts here wants to know, is there another NFL team right now who would gladly start Sam Howell next game?
I could probably name 10 teams.
Absolutely.
At least 10 teams.
Yeah. Sam Howell has he's gotten burnt. I think that he is shell shocked. I think that his lack of confidence is apparent on the sidelines last week against the Jets as Jacoby Brissett was moving the offense and scoring. Everybody was happy. And I saw that Sam Howell was on the sidelines. It's not that he was not happy, right? I don't want to try to put my perception of what I saw on there, but you could tell that the man was contemplative. He was sitting there wondering, why can't I do this? I am going to put my perspective, but not saying that he's mad at the team being, I don't think he was mad that the team was successful. I think he was just wondering, why can't he do that? Like, what is Jacoby doing that he cannot do? And that is his thing. And because that's what we've heard from Eric Benamy. That's what we've heard from his teammates, and his teammates have backed him. And I've read between the lines with what his teammates have been saying over the last few weeks of struggles is that, hey, we're going to be here for him, but you can kind of hear like they're like ready to move on because this is this is a team full of vets who, Jonathan Allen said he's sick and tired of losing, right? And Sam Howell wasn't going to be the guy to take them there to the promised land. Trev, what you got?
Also, real quick on the Sam Howell thing, this last game, I really noticed two things. Well, yeah, two things. One, there was that one play where he had a clean pocket and he created pressure for himself and ran out to the right and threw it out of bounds. That showed me that he is terrified. He does not trust his instincts. He doesn't trust himself, which leads to your perception that, why can I do this? Like, I did it before. Why can I do this? Because it was night and day. Jacoby came in and led down in 4 and 5 plays, touchdown. Terry was involved. I forgot he was on the team until he caught that ball. Logan Thomas caught a touchdown. I forgot he was a receiving tight end until he did that. You know what I mean? Like, it just made it seem so easy. And Sam seems like he makes things harder on himself. And second, he's going up against a defense that really isn't that stout of a defense. The defense he faces in the games are way more different, way more stout and scarier than the ones he's facing every day in practice. So yeah, in practice, he probably looks like he's balling out because he's going against, outside of Allen and Payne, Hill, Smith Williams, Andre Jones, KJ Henry, St. Jude, like a mediocre to bad defense. Then he gets in the game against all these stout defense and he gets pummeled. So I'm not giving excuses. I mean, you're an NFL quarterback, but it's not helping his case when you're the opposite side of the ball is just as bad as the offense. There's nothing scary or anything to, put him in a position like, hey, like next weekend, now we got, Chase Young, but now we got Bosa, Fred Warner, Greenlaw, Hargrave on the line, someone else on the line, like the stoutest defense of the NFL. And we're going up against Smith Williams and KJ Henry every day. It makes a difference. So that's where it comes to the offseason as well. You got to build your roster on both sides.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think this is a question for the chat as well. Do you think that Sam Howell deep down, I'm not saying he'll say this or he'll maybe even think it, deep down wants Jacoby Brissett to fail these last 2 games? You don't think deep down that he wants him to fail so that Sam Howell will not look like a failure? Of course he does, Nathan. Of course he does. Deep down, he hopes Jacoby will fail. So
who does?
Sam does. Sam Howell hopes Jacoby will fail.
Stoner is projecting a little bit. This is how Stoner goes through life. It's like, he can't just cheer everybody on. He's got to be like, no, that guy right over there, I could have been that guy.
No,
so that guy, if he's got to fail.
You're misinterpreting. You're
literally trying to tell us Sam Howell deep down inside is the kind of person who's just like, yeah, I want my teammate to fail.
Yes. You want your replacement to fail. You don't want your replacement to go out there and look good and score 40 points and have everybody praise him. And then everybody also turn around and say, well, that's Sam Howell. He stinks. You don't want that. It's just like if you're in the NBA, for an example, I'm just giving another example, and you get hurt and your replacement comes in. I always go back to remember when John Wall got hurt 6, 7, 8 years ago when they were playing bad, and then he went out and the team went on a run. It was the everybody eats era, right? Because John Wall wasn't in there, so everybody else got more of the ball and they played a whole lot better. You think John Wall liked it? That when he went out, all of a sudden the team played a whole lot better, and everybody's talking about how John Wall was the problem the whole time.
Yes.
They don't want to, he doesn't want Jacoby to go out there and perform great. And then everybody say, well, Sam Howell was the problem the whole time. He's not going to say it. He might not even think it, but deep down, he wants Jacoby Brissett to fail. And you can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, I think SGB probably has it right here. He's going to be saying, glad that's not me getting knocked around, as Jacoby Brissett will get the start against the 49ers. We'll be talking about that here in the game. Gus Bus did put this in earlier, put the wolf emoji. And I said, if I see that, as long as you guys aren't obnoxious with it, I'll give you the howl. And Gus Bus is saying one last time, like taps, as it is the end of the Sam Howell era here in Washington. A little moment of silence with the Wolves.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye, Sammy. It's nice knowing you. Told you they never should have drafted you.
And,
that was dumb.
And Stoner, we're going to give you just a little bit to collect yourself in the game.
Sure.
You need to name the 10 teams that would take Sam Howell. We will talk about that and the 49ers here in the game. Stick with us. We talked more about Sam Howell in the warm-up than we did Jacoby Brissett. We'll flip the switch here as we move to the game against the 49ers, who are coming to town here, and it is a homecoming. The boys are back in town, not just Chase Young, who is the image here on the graphic, but of course Trent Williams coming back as well to Washington. Not his first time, but it will be Chase Young's first time post-trade. So we got to talk Chase Young, and we'll talk about how Jacoby Brissett will do against this defense, because as Dave in DC put, we're going to see how Jacoby does with a determined defense locked in on him. And we're going to see how this offensive line holds up as well. It will be a truer test of Eric Benamy's offense and the veteran quarterback than what he's seen the past 2 weeks in cleanup duty. So we will see and talk all about that as well. But Stoner, you were challenged to name the 10 teams that would take Sam Howell for this Sunday as their QB. Do you have those teams?
Sure. I mean, I didn't look it up or anything, but let's just make sure we're talking about Sam Howell today for the team today, this week, right? We're not talking about quarterback of the future. We're talking about today to play this game. You don't think that the Jets would take him over Trevor Siemian? You're crazy. Siemian was garbage on this last week. He was better than Howell, I will admit that. But you would still take Sam Howell with the Jets. You don't think they'd take him over Tommy DeVito / Tyrod Taylor? The Giants, of course, would take him. Who's the fourth string quarterback that's going for Cleveland? Is Joe Flacco? Sure, Joe Flacco is playing pretty decent. Of course, you would take Sam Howell over a 72-year-old Joe Flacco. Give me a break.
I don't think that one's accurate, but go ahead. You keep cooking. Keep cooking.
I'm just trying to think of all the teams.
Atlanta.
You don't think they'd take him over Taylor Heineke? Of course they would.
Dealing with
it last year. The Washington didn't, but that's a whole thing. Of course they would. Give me some other bad teams that are out there. The Bears, the
Patriots, Bailey
Zappi,
Raiders. Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell with the Raiders, and you did Bailey Zappi, right? He's another bad player.
Who's starting for the Chargers now that Herbert's down?
Easton Stick.
Oh God, they definitely would take. Yeah, the Chargers would definitely take Sam Howell right now.
I'm looking at a map of the United States, and I'm picking out teams that are up and down coast or whatever. Who's Carolina?
The Vikings. Vikings have Nick Mullins.
Nick Mullins? Of course you would start Sam Howell over Nick Mullins.
Two more, Stoner. Come on,
if
dog.
CJ Stroud is not playing this week, again,
Panthers.
Right? Not Panthers, Texans. CJ Stroud, who's the backup that's been playing for CJ Stroud?
No, it's not been Davis. They've been putting Beathard.
CJ Beathard.
They're starting somebody besides.
Whatever Beathard. Is there two CJs in Houston?
CJ Beathard.
I kind of realized that. So there's So what? That's 9. Give me another team. Tampa, Miami. I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going up the coast. I'm going Carolina. So I'm going. Let's go this way. New Orleans. Who's the quarterback in New Orleans? Is Carr okay? Is he?
Yeah, I think he's been.
Right, I'm actually going to look at the NFL standings right now, just so I can make sure. I mean,
Russell Wilson was just benched.
Yeah. Who's starting for Russell Wilson? Jarrett Stidham. 10 done. Give me my money. I'm vindicated. I've named 10.
You also have Pittsburgh Steelers with Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky,
Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, Cincinnati Bengals without Joey Burrow. You've starting to see Browning.
Pretty good. He's pretty decent.
You dogged on him, and I had to listen to a whole bunch of texts from my man, about how Browning isn't nearly as bad, but he didn't want to put it in the chat, so he reached out to me. But okay, all right, we got to 10 there, 10 teams that Sam Howell could potentially start for this week. And so again, we're not out on Sam Howell as
we are.
a competent quarterback that could last in the league for a while. We are just out on Sam Howell as the QB for this game against 49ers and likely not the future. You're not out on Sam Howell for the start against the 49ers?
I want Sam Howell to play every single snap the rest of the year.
I don't, bro. I don't. I don't, man. We've seen for 6 straight games that he can't get it done, okay? He just can't do it. I'm sorry. Nice guy, great hair, doesn't eat red meat. He just can't get it done.
And I'm fine with you saying that, because he does have a 6 or 7 game track record. But there was a time in this season, in the middle of the season, where he was absolutely the quarterback of the future of this team, where he was getting it done. And he was absolutely slinging it all over the place and killing folks out there. And you were seeing it. And you were seeing 4 games. I'm not saying that he was willing the team to victory, but he was playing well enough because the defense was so bad. Watch the 2 games against Philadelphia. That's just watch
awful.
those 2 games.
Did you hear that? Did you hear what you just said? Did you hear what you just said? Watch those 2 games. That's what you just said.
I'm just giving you as an example. Watch the 2 games.
You only have 2 games.
I'm not saying only 2 games. I'm giving you 2 games because, and I'm using Philadelphia because they are a Super Bowl contender. They haven't played great the last few weeks, but they're a Super Bowl contender with a pretty darn good defense, at least an average defense. And he was cooking them both.
Bro, we beat them with Carson Wentz last year. We play them better as a team now. Stop making excuses for Sam Howell.
I'm not comparing him to what other players did against. I'm just saying, watch Sam Howell play in those games. And he played extremely well. He found open receivers. He put the ball on the money. He brought the team back. He scored a lot of points against those teams. He played very well. That's what I'm saying. Watch the games. Watch him play. But
did it make you say, oh, he's the future? Or did it make you say he played really well? Be honest.
I have to tell you, Trev, you know me from the beginning. I was Sam's not the guy. He made me say Sam is the future of this team. He absolutely made me say it. I changed my mind 180
There's
degrees.
A short out there. Stoner saying Sam Howell is him.
Yeah, absolutely.
There it is.
And then we got more data, and now I'm back on that he's probably not him. But you should at least give him a chance. What if, and it's a total what if he goes out there in these last 2 games and he throws for 350 yards and 6 total touchdowns and 1 turnover, and they still lose both games. But he goes out there and he just balls out for 2 games. Now you got an entire 17-game season of data that you can make an informed decision. Now you stop short from giving him that opportunity.
Bro,
and that's
what's 2 more games adding on to 2 more games to make it 4 games out of a 17-game season?
It's not
like, oh,
I only gave 2 games to as an example to look at.
Well, if you think about it, those are the 2 games that he performed best at.
I'll give you 9 games that he played very well in. That's what I'm saying. There are actually, if you add it all up, there are actually more good games than bad games. All the bad games have come in like the last 6 games.
No, that's actually not true, but we can dissect that another time. It's just not, it's patently false. And I actually looked at it.
And bad games?
Yeah, I actually looked at it and I don't know if I still have that. I used to have the sheet here. I gotta see if I still have it. I actually counted it up because when I started getting tired of people making excuses for Sam Howell, I went and I looked at it and I was just like, how many good games has he had? How many bad games has he had? And he has had more bad games than good games. But even in those bad games, he showed us at the time like a good wow throw. You know, he showed us that there was something there. He just needs to kind of put it together. And then all of a sudden, I'd say the second Giants game, we started to see a turn where we weren't seeing those good plays. Maybe it was even before then, but we weren't seeing those wild plays. We weren't seeing good decisions. We weren't seeing, the Sam Howell that made us think that he was the QB of the future and led, we started seeing this QB that led to us starting Jacoby Brissett. And I agree with you, Stoner. I'm not excited about Jacoby Brissett starting, and I wanted Sam Howell to start. Now that Jacoby Brissett's, now it looks like we are just waiting for the season to end.
Yes.
We had purpose. Before we had Sam Howell, we can sit there and say, let him dig out of it and let him try, but that's not going to be the case here as we face off against the 49ers. We're going to be seeing Jacoby Brissett, but let's focus on that right now, because we're going to be talking about this probably for weeks. So let's focus a little bit more on the game here. Jacoby Brissett came in the last 2 games and we got excited, Stoner. Don't lie. Your blood was flowing when Jacoby Brissett came in and we started getting competitive. Commander's Twitter was melting down last week on Christmas Eve because Jacoby Brissett, like everyone was, oh, woe is us, and we're trash and everything in the first half. Jacoby Brissett comes in and starts pulling us back into this, and everybody was losing their dang on minds saying, that's it. We're going to win this game. And it's awful because we're going to be picking 9th and we've won a game that's not going to matter and everything. And here's Stoner and I absolutely like pulling off our hair and be like, yeah, it's amazing. So Stoner, let's focus on those good moments. All right.
Okay.
Let's focus on what Jacoby Brissett can do against this 49ers. What are you expecting with Eric Benamy and his offense under the veteran experience of Jacoby Brissett?
You're asking me what I expect from Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, no.
I expect competency. I expect him to go out there and not look as bad as Sam Howell has looked the last few games, for sure. I expect him to go out there and be able to run an offense. And I think they are going to change the offense for him. I think they are going to have a lot more running in this game, simply for the fact that they don't want him going out there and passing 40 some odd times, especially against a defense like San Francisco. So they're going to run the ball a lot, although San Francisco is a very, very difficult team to run on. But they're going to give him the opportunities to go out there and competently run the team, and he will do that. They're not going to go out there and score 35 points against the 49ers. They're not going to do that. That's for sure. But he's going to go out there and not throw up all over himself like Sam has done the last 2 weeks. And that's all I expect. They're going to try to get the game over with as soon as possible. So they're going to be running the ball quite a bit, kind of like back when Bill Callahan took over for Jay Gruden, and all he did was run the ball every single time because he was just trying to get the season over with. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get it over with without having to deal with any sort of controversies or any sort of more talking about Jacoby/Sam. They just want to get through this season without having to deal with any more drama. And so that's what I think Jacoby's going to do. He's just going to go out there and he's going to play like a competent quarterback that he is. And I don't want to totally trash Jacoby Brissett because I think he's very good at what he does. He's a good quarterback, but he's not somebody that I want as my quarterback moving forward.
Very efficient last year for Cleveland. Didn't get the results, 4-7 before giving way to Deshaun Watson. But we've seen that efficiency, Trev. We've seen where we've seen smart, good play from Jacoby Brissett, regardless of what people will say about the defenses he's been playing against in the second half. He gets a full game here, Trev, against a defense that absolutely can get after the quarterback. The offensive line here in Washington is much maligned. Will the veteran presence of Jacoby Brissett help this much maligned offensive line, or are we going to see Jacoby kind of running for his life? We've seen Sam Howell.
Kind of a little bit of both, maybe. I think Jacoby will use his veteran presence of acknowledging reads and who's coming, who's not, protections, helping the offensive line with protections. Maybe they're having trouble because Leno's probably not going to be playing. Larson's not going to be playing, so it's going to be a different O-line than he's seen all year. So he can help with that. But also, it's a lot of depth, third string, fourth string guys that are playing for us now they might understand the concept. They just don't have the physicality to do it, which is why they're on the depth chart instead of starters. So it's a little bit of both. Yeah, he'll help the O-line, but also the O-line won't help him because of the lack of inexperience. That's what I think it's going to see. And then we might see some first downs for Jacoby Brissett, less 3 and outs. Because I feel sorry. Tress Way, he has been brutalized, and he's a punter, and that's never happened for us. So, like, and that's because it's a lot of 3 and outs. He's out there a lot more often than he should be. So we'll see some first downs. But also, then on the flip side, I think we'll see why Jacoby Brissett is a backup quarterback. He might score a couple touchdowns, but he might make that critical mistake. He might, do something that he's had trouble with in the past. They can't get over a hump over. We might see that on Sunday. Like he might come down and throw 2 touchdowns. We might be down within 1 score. He'll throw a pick and we lose. That's what Jacoby does. So it's a little bit of both. Some positivity, like Stoner said, competency on the offensive side of the ball. He gives us a better chance of staying in it because our defense is so bad and our offense has been so bad. He gives us a better chance of staying in it. But yeah, first downs and then why he's a backup quarterback. So a little bit of highs and lows.
Yeah, I do want to remind people we're a bad team, right? We didn't get to 4 wins this late into the season because the dice didn't just roll our way. We're just not a very good team. So even with Jacoby Brissett, I don't expect him to necessarily fill all the holes, fix the offensive line, fix the defensive issues that Washington has had. But Stoner, even you have to admit that things should be slightly improved and we have a better chance at winning.
Yeah. As we talked about in the last segment, my whole theory on why this change has taken place is because essentially, just to get right to the point of it, EB needs to save face. And he needs to show that his offense is not as bad as Sam Howell has made it. So he is going to change it up in Jacoby Brissett's favor. He is going to run the ball more. He is going to run some more play actions than he normally does. He's going to go back to that screen game that was so successful at the beginning of the year. He's going to do the things that he should have been doing all along with Sam Howell, but that he's going to do to make himself look good because he's auditioning right now for his next contract. So he's got to prove to teams that it wasn't me that was having this trouble with our offense this whole time. It was Sam Howell, and I'm going to show you because Jacoby Brissett is going to run it efficiently. He's just going to save his arse.
I just want to point out, however, in that regard, Stoner, he might prove that he is a good offensive coordinator who can, call an efficient and good offense. But one thing, it would actually be an indictment on him if Jacoby Brissett does well and the offense is rolling, is showing that he cannot develop a young quarterback.
Okay. I mean that might be fair, but still, all he has to do is go out there and say, I did everything for Sam. I did everything I possibly could. And he just couldn't get it done. It wasn't me. It was Sam.
Right.
And I'm going to show you by Jacoby Brissett.
I think that's kind of what it's going to happen on Sunday because EB came from Kansas City. Pat Mahomes is a freak athlete. Okay. Sam Howell's gritty. He has moxie. He's athletic, but Pat Mahomes is a magician.
He's different.
So it makes things, it's a different play. It makes things easier for EB if the quarterback can, 1, retain it, and 2, go out there and execute it. Sam maybe doesn't fit the offense that EB is trying to run. Like everybody's saying EB's trash. Maybe EB's offense is great and Sam just doesn't run it. Sam ran RPOs in college and was very successful. We barely ran those. So, of course, it's going to make Sam look uncomfortable because it's a whole different offense. So I'm not getting excuses, but I'm not quick to jump on the EB's fault all year long. You're asking this dude to develop a 5th-round draft pick your first year as an offensive coordinator in a brand new organization. I know it's a business, NFL, no excuse. That's a lot to ask for. So
what happens if Jacoby Brissett goes out there and is terrible? Where does the blame go?
then that's a deeper dive you got to go into. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
I mean,
he
you're
doesn't.
nobody goes into deeper
Maybe that's
dives,
EB.
Trev.
Well, maybe that's I don't know. I'm not.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just giving my opinion. Maybe
The simple answer.
then you take a harder look at EB probably.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If Jacoby goes out there and is bad, then the simple math, your common denominator is Eric Bieniemy. He couldn't do it with Sam. He couldn't do it with Jacoby. It must be Eric Bieniemy.
Which Eric Bieniemy has not left the district unscathed.
He's had it since game one.
He's long been on Stoner's doghouse there, and he's been a no-go after several games. And even the one who can appreciate a new age offense with the short passing game and everything, has recognized that there are flaws in this game, and the play calling is frustrating because we don't see any consistency in it. So Eric Bieniemy hasn't been left unscathed here. So I see those comments coming where people are like, well, you blame Sam for it, but you don't blame EB. Oh no, we've blamed EB. We're just turning around and saying now Sam Howell also has his fair share of the blame. So if Jacoby Brissett doesn't perform well, it probably just proves our earlier theories that, hey, Eric Bieniemy has some issues as a play caller, but I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case because we have seen flashes of the Eric Bieniemy good play caller with Sam Howell. And we've seen Jacoby Brissett move the ball down the field with, the Eric Bieniemy offense. So I'm not expecting all of a sudden Washington is again going to score 30 points for the first time in how many weeks?
Yeah.
But I do think that this offense will be performing a little bit better. Now, there are going to be some key pieces missing as far as that's concerned as the injury report came out. Now, a couple people were on vet rest, Jonathan Allen, Kendall Fuller. Tyler Larson and Charles Leno Jr. still did not participate. John Ridgway is a DNP. Chris Rodriguez with his ankle DNP. A lot of people were excited to see him kind of in there. And I think that's why Jarrett Patterson is back on the practice squad, because with Chris Rodriguez nursing an injury and Brian Robinson Jr. was limited with a hamstring, he's somebody who I've told people for the last few weeks, don't expect him back. They're not going to rush him back in a lost season.
Right.
So he's probably going to be inactive in my opinion. And we're going to see now your fourth and fifth stringers come up with Derek Gore, and now Jarrett Patterson coming in to spell with Antonio Gibson. Benjamin St. Juste was a DNP with a concussion. Percy Butler, Andrew Wiley were limited. Dejon Harris, I know you are all very interested in that one. He was designated to return from IR. He was a full participant, and David Mayo as well, a full participant. So,
all right. Got some linebacker help coming.
And this is kind of where I get into the whole thing about this is not going to be an apples to apples comparison when we look at Jacoby Brissett versus Sam Howell in these last two games, because you are going to have different offensive line. You're probably not going to have Leno and Larson. So the offensive line for Jacoby Brissett is probably going to be Lucas, Sadiq Charles, Nick Gates, Sam Cosmi, and Andrew Wiley. And if Jacoby's back there running for his life the whole time and getting beat up and gets 6+ sacks or whatever it is, then people are going to just say, well, he had two different offensive linemen than what Sam Howell had. So there's not going to be that whole comparison. So again, it's always going to come down to what? It's going to come down to Eric Bieniemy is the common denominator in all of this. If Jacoby Brissett balls out, then Eric Bieniemy is going to get all the praise. And if he doesn't ball out, then Eric Bieniemy is going to get all the blame. That's why I think this was an Eric Bieniemy move, to where he told Ron, I need this for my resume. I can't go into this off season of not having a job, having gotten turned down for so many jobs over the years, finally getting an offensive coordinator / associate head coach position and a bunch of money. I can't go into after that 1 year with Sam Howell going out there and throwing up all over himself for the last 2 months. that's going to reflect bad on me.
I
That's why
think
he had this move.
I think EB was calling for this a few weeks ago, the first time they benched Sam. And I think Ron was like, no, let's just ride it out and see what happens.
Sure.
From the beginning, in my point of view, I never thought that the team of Ron Rivera and EB was as a good a fit as they proclaimed it to be in their press conferences. I really don't. I really think it was a lot of, well, I'm going to try this. No, don't try that. Try this. Well, I think we should do that. Like, I think like that's what the whole season was about. Because, I mean, it's just, you just think about it. EB was known for play calling an offensive genius in the game. Comes to Washington with Sam Howell. Looks like that never even existed. Like he needs Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes. No. Andy Reid and Ron Rivera are totally different coaches. I would love to have Andy Reid or Ron Rivera any day. Nothing against Ron Rivera personally. Don't know the man like that. But EB and Andy Reid, you saw them hugging on the sideline, like, you know, side by side, enjoying the game. Here, you never saw that. Even when we were winning, you never saw that between those two coaches, EB and Ron Rivera. So I think it was friction from the beginning, and they just hit it through all the smoke of the press conferences, which also led to the performance on the field. I don't know. Because why would EB come 2 games later and be like, okay, let me try Jacoby Brissett? I think he tried this weeks ago, and Ron was like, nah, dog. Let's just let Sam Howell. The goal was to develop him. We're going to let him ride out and see what happens. And then finally, it's like, all right, 2 games left. I'm not going to be here next year. You have a better chance of being here next year than I do, EB. Let's go ahead and throw Jacoby in there.
That would run counterintuitive, though, Trev, to the narrative the team has put out when it comes to benching him a couple of weeks ago. Eric Benamy, during his press conference, said it was actually Ron Rivera who came to him and said, I think we should bench the kid. And Eric Benamy said, you're right, it's time. And they moved on. So it seems like Eric Benamy wanted to ride with Sam Howell. And everything he said up to that point seemed like he did want to ride with Sam Howell. But I will say this, Eric Benamy is much better at press conferences than Ron Rivera. Oh, yeah. And as far as Ron Rivera, the person, everybody, I think, will back Ron Rivera as the person, as the mentor, as the, you know, person who you would want
overcame a lot
for the team. And yes, he overcame the team, but it's Ron Rivera, the head coach, that I think doesn't get a lot of love, as he does have a sub 500 career record. He would need to win 2 games to make that a difference. There's a couple of comments here that I wanted to address. Dave in DC, do not forget, this is the worst O-line play I've ever seen. Just horrid. And
well, you didn't watch last year's Commanders then.
Yeah, Keith was saying we have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Our defense is one of the worst defenses in the league. Keith, that second half is right. The defense has not been good. It is, in fact, very, very bad. But as far as the offensive line is concerned for both Keith and Dave, that was actually going to be the topic today during the warm-up, was offensive line. And I did a deep dive into this. And Washington's offensive line is not nearly as bad as we make it out to be. And I think we're going to see that with Jacoby Brissett, that he will have time. Sam Howell has bailed out of a lot of clean pockets, and Sam Howell has not trusted his first reads and had to swallow the ball and either run and or just take a sack. Those are plays that we're not going to see with Jacoby Brissett, because he's more decisive with the football and he is more confident inside that pocket. And so I think we're going to see an entirely different offensive line when it comes to the play, even though we're facing off against Bosa and Chase Young, who is returning. Now, you two said Chase Young is going to put up a goose egg. Why are you so confident that Cornelius Lucas, who should be starting at the left tackle with Leno still not participating in practice, why is it that Lucas is going to be able to hold Charles Leno to a goose egg on Sunday?
Chase Young.
Because
he's seen it. Yeah, because he's gone up against him every day
on Sunday. But I mean,
because he's gone up against Chase Young his whole career up until the past month. I mean, that's my only upside on this. He probably knows Chase's tendencies a little bit more than the person behind him. Lucas is maybe a step or two below Charles Leno on left tackle. It's not a huge drop off when Lucas is in there, a little bit, but not much of a difference. So yeah, I don't think he's gonna. I mean, it'd be too easy for him to get a sack at home. Like that would. I mean, then see, we should have traded him. I told you. He's had like what 2 sacks, maybe 2.5 since he's been gone. Montez Sweat's been balling out more than him since he's been gone. He's on the Bears. So I don't know. Goose egg, Chase Young. He's just. I've watched him play this past few weeks since he's been gone. He's not as explosive and as freaky as he once was when he was with us. Like the number 2, he does not look like he was picked number 2 overall.
Yeah.
He just
you
doesn't.
know who does?
Montez Sweat.
Well,
he looks like a first rounder, but
right. I'm talking about, who does look like a number 2 overall pick? The guy on the other side of his defensive line, Nick Bosa, who was the number 2 overall pick the year before. And just compare them just this year. And it's insane. But I say he's not going to, simply because of math. And the math is Chase Young plays less than 50% of the snaps, Trev. He plays less than 50% of the snaps for the 49ers. He's not hardly ever out there. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Joey, I always get the Bosa's mixed up. Nick Bosa played 94% of the snaps against Baltimore, one of the best teams in the league, one of the best offenses in the league. Chase Young played 46% of the snaps against Baltimore.
Good.
That's all you need to know is that he's not the guy to be afraid of. He's not a guy who's going to get after. He has, you know how many tackles he has since he's gotten to San Francisco? Total tackles.
Just looking it up, actually.
Look it up because this was part of yesterday's DCU.
2, 4, 6, 7 is what I'm showing here.
7 tackles in 7 games for the 49ers.
So he's pretty much doing the same things he did with us before he got traded.
Yeah, 2.5 sacks in 5 games.
But no Kyle Shanahan. He's going to play Chase Young more this game because it's every time Kyle gets a chance to ruin homecoming for some people, or like, you know what I mean, stick it to us every chance he gets. He's going to, bro.
I'm saying
he's one of the pettiest coaches in the league.
Trev,
he is very petty.
You didn't let me finish. Please let him play more snaps. That's better for the Commanders' offense. The more Chase Young plays on defense, the better chance the Commanders' offense has at succeeding. You want him out there. You need him out there because he is poopy. And he's been poopy for a long time. And it's not because of injury. He doesn't have the world's worst knee injury in the history of the NFL. It's not injury. It's not anything, but he's just not good. That's all.
So Allison is asking, isn't it Lucas on Bosa? But from what I've seen, Bosa plays the left. And when I've seen Chase in the 49ers, which, by the way, the 92 looks awful on him. When he plays, he's on the right side of the line. So it would be the Lucas matchup that we're looking for on that front. So Chase Young, not going to be a factor. Kyle Shanahan does not like this team.
Sure.
And he is not afraid to talk about this team in a bad light. It's been several years. Lots has changed in that time. He has one of the better teams in the league, although they did just get shellacked by Baltimore, who might just be the best team in the NFL right now. What is Kyle going to do with Brock Purdy coming off of a 4-interception game, but still having the tools of Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel? Ayuk has had a reasonable year. He's kind of come off a little bit here in the last few weeks, but what is the Shanahan offense going to do to this defense that has been abysmal, but playing at least a little bit better these last couple of games?
It's going to embarrass us. I mean, they're just more talented on paper and on the field. Bottom line, they're just going to do simple stuff and beat us. They're not going to do anything crazy or exotic. They're just going to call their game plan, which is crazy and exotic, and they're going to embarrass us. I mean, our defense doesn't have the speed, doesn't have the physicality, doesn't just have the coaching to go up against this offense. Ayuk is physical and fast. McCaffrey's MVP. He's a alien. Trent Williams, I don't know if he's gonna play. I don't know if he has ankle injuries or not, whatever, but he's a dog. Deebo Samuel, he's a dog. George Kittle, who seems like the forgotten one on that offense because they have so many other choices. It's dealer's choice. Kyle's going to do whatever the hell he wants to do on Sunday against this defense. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. What, James Smith-Williams is going to get past Trent Williams? Yeah, right. Are you kidding me? Our running backs are going to get past the defensive line. If we get past Hargrave, we got to get past Warner and Greenlaw, the linebacker position. And then if we don't do that, we got their secondary who's physical and ball hockey. So it's like their offense is just going. Brock Purdy is going to go back in the MVP discussion after this weekend. There it is.
I think it is going to be the Christian McCaffrey show myself. I think they're going to pound the ball
as well, 200 yards. Yeah,
they're going to protect Brock Purdy that they didn't do against the Ravens. They had him out there throwing way too much early in the game, and some of those interceptions weren't necessarily his fault. They were, tipped passes, bounced off the receiver, and a couple of just not completely his fault. But they had him out there throwing the ball way too much against that type of defense. And they had some exotic defenses lined up against them. They're just going to come out here against Washington, and they're just going to pound it with Christian McCaffrey because Washington can't stop it. They can't stop the run. So why bother going away from that? And they're going to build a big lead, and then Brock Purdy's just going to manage the rest of the game all the way through. But
he's not even going to finish the game. Sam Darnold's coming in.
Yeah, they might.
Sam Darnold will come in. Yeah.
Not Sam Darnold. Not like this. Not like
and he'll put up 2 touchdowns on our starting defense, and then it's going to be like, oh, maybe we should draft Sam Darnold next year, and he could be the backup, and he could battle Sam Howell. No.
I mean, McCaffrey only had 14 carries in this last game against Baltimore. I mean, he had 100 and something yards in those 14 carries. But just think if he gets 22 carries against Washington, he's going to have 150 yards. So they're not going to have Brock Purdy dropping back 35 times in this game. Not going to happen. They have too much to lose going forward, knowing their position in the playoffs. They're probably not going to be the number 1 seed, although they still have an outside chance of it. But they're just going to this is going to be one of those games where they're just going to kind of manage the game pretty easily, do some easy things, jump out to that nice early lead, and then cruise the rest of the way.
And it's going to look exotic because our defense can't even stop basic plays. Did you guys watch the Miami Dolphins game? That was ridiculous.
Yeah,
that was different. We're probably still going to see some of those same issues there. But I did want to give a shout out to Gabe here, who's commenting on Twitter. That has finally been fixed, and people can comment on Twitter and get them to show up here on our StreamYard. Thanks for tuning in there, Gabe. We've talked about Jacoby Brissett, in this game. We've talked about Chase Young in this game, and we've talked about Kyle Shanahan in this game. But what we haven't talked about is our game predictions. We're going to do that in the cool down. So go ahead and fill out the comment section right now with what you think the final score is going to be. We'll give you ours here in the cool down. Stick with us. The Washington Commanders host the San Francisco 49ers in a New Year's Eve game. We will be streaming this play-by-play, so make sure that you do tune in for that before you start your holiday festivities and your wonderful ringing in of a new year. I know I will be glad that this game is over, and then I will start the champagne toasting. Hopefully, I will get a little champagne toasting early with a Washington victory, but we'll see whether or not that is going to be the prediction here. It was kind of sad and disappointing. I'm not going to lie to either one of you, as most of our fans have just absolutely given up on the team. And I don't think this is the most lopsided here, but it is one of the worst ones that we've had. Nearly 2,000 votes in our poll for this game, and the San Francisco 49ers have 83% of them. Washington fans just not very confident here against the 49ers, most wanting to get to the draft talk, most of us talking about how we just need a real QB. What is your guys' game prediction here for this game against the 49ers?
I think it's going to
Okay, good. One of you speak.
I think it has a great chance of mirroring this past Sunday. 49ers come out and blast us, make people turn the channel and watch another game. And then we find our rhythm in the second half, but it's not going to be enough. And the 49ers score again and we lose by 2 touchdowns. I think Jacoby gives us a better chance of being competitive. I think once the 49ers get a huge lead on us, they're going to take the foot off the gas and just chill because they've got bigger things to look forward to rather than we do. So look for all the stats for McCaffrey and Purdy to be outrageous in the first half, and look for Sam Darnold to come in against us and we make it a – I'm sorry, Stoner, I know it's probably what you don't want to hear, and we make it somewhat of a game, but we still end up losing. So
what do you got for the score?
33-20.
Okay, I don't hate it. I'm not going to get too much in the details of the analysis of it because I kind of did in the last segment. So I'll just give you my score. I think it's going to be a pretty easy go of it for San Francisco. It's going to look a lot like these last 6 or 7 games that we've had. I don't think Jacoby Brissett makes that big of a difference. Once a team knows that's who they're going to have to prepare for, they're going to prepare the proper defense, especially a well-coached team like San Fran. So it's going to be like we've seen for a while, 31-10 San Francisco. They're going to jump out to an early lead. The offense for Washington's going to look terrible, and then they're just going to put it in cruise control the rest of the game, 31-10.
Well, we at least have some believers in the chat here. Joni Donuts, 45-0 Redskins. JSW, 45-12 San Francisco. 34-10 San Francisco from Yam Rockman. 34-17 49ers. Allison, San Fran, probably the best score we've had for the losing side here, 40-24. That would be exciting. Nathan living up to his namesake, being very optimistic here, 24-21 Washington. Dave taking the 49ers 49-17. PNW 28-24 Skins. Again, I go into every week knowing we're going to win. That's the coach in PNW, by the way. SGB 35-13 San Francisco. Gregory 34-24. Those were the ones I see. Jermaine in here 47-24 San Francisco. Cool was 37-36 Washington. I would be stoked. I'd be losing my dang on mind if that ended up being the game. I'd be super happy. Kim here with 21-0 Washington. A couple of goose eggs there for San Francisco with Kim's score and Joey Donuts. TJ 35-17. Didn't put a team, so we're going to assume it's Washington. I would love a 35-17 record. I just don't see it happening. The Washington's last winnable game was this one against the Jets. That was the game that, like, there was a winnable game before that too, but then it was like you had 3 games left and the Jets seemed like, okay, you might be able to win this game against the Jets. But the San Francisco 49ers are still playing for position. The Dallas Cowboys will still be playing for position. And so those two teams are going to be bringing their A game against a team that we've listed as not very good. Jacoby Brissett's going to come in. Washington's offense, I do think, is going to move a little bit better. I don't think it's going to be significantly better, but we're at least going to see maybe a little less 3-and-outs coming here. And that might be one of my dollars coming up. My game final score is going to be 34-20 San Francisco. Nelman 24-7.
Trev had it 33-20, and you got it 34-20 San Francisco. Now, interesting is that you gave Nathan Floor all this love about living up to his namesake and being positive and picking Washington, and then you didn't pick Washington. So he's not living up to his namesake.
Someone has to, though. Someone has to, though.
Okay.
Someone has to carry on the positive Perry vibes.
Okay.
Because
It ain't you.
Gracious, it ain't gonna be. I want a victory. I want to end on a good note. I just don't see it being
they having this week
right now. This is just not a good team. This isn't the team from the last couple years where we saw, Ron Rivera sneak out wins that we shouldn't win, right? That usually happens in the middle of the season somewhere. And we're like, okay, let's go. We've had our seasons have been mid, right? They've not been terrible. They've been mid. And this season is not middle of the pack. This season is very much a down season. So it's hard to pick Washington. If Washington were 6 wins, I can see maybe that they're competitive enough to win a game here. But with 4 wins, with what we've seen with Jacoby coming in over Sam Howell, that's not going to be a boost to the system. I'm taking the San Francisco 49ers. All right. Let's get to those dollars. And we've had a couple already in the chat. The first one from Hawk TV, fan attendance for both San Francisco and Dallas is going to be over 60%. Do San Francisco fans want to leave San Francisco for DC on New Year's Eve?
Yes, Chase Young's coming back.
Dallas is, of course, that might as well be Dallas North by the time week 18.
Yeah, that's Joe.
There will be there will be plenty, trust me, plenty of San Francisco fans in the stand.
But 60%?
Sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Our fans giving up. They staying at home for New Year's. They ain't coming out.
I asked the Mrs. Stoner if she wanted to go to see San Francisco, a good team or whatever. She's like, no, I don't want to. I want to deal with the losing Washington right now. Wait until next year and see if they're any good. Okay. So not going. And I think that's kind of the vibe of what a lot of fans who don't go to every game, non-season ticket holders, and even season ticket holders are probably selling all their tickets. I don't really want to go see a 4-11 team with the backup quarterback and a lame duck coaching staff. Who wants to see that? So you know who wants to see it? San Francisco fans. They love that.
For sure.
Opposing fans love to take over, especially in DC.
All right. Well, how about a dollar from either one of you before I get to another one? I accidentally removed one from the starred chat, so won't have that one. But how about this? You both. Yeah, I actually had one earlier. We're going to bring this one up. It's the Chase Young one. Both of you guys said 0 sacks. I think he gets more than that. He registers at least half a sack. You guys are so confident he's going to end up with 0 sacks. So I'm going to say he registers half a sack.
Okay.
You can take you have it.
I say he doesn't. I'll even go one step further, Nathan. He doesn't even register a statistic.
Ooh,
other than minutes played or defensive snaps.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'll take that.
No tackle, no half tackle, no pressure, no hurries, no sacks, no nothing. We're going to forget he even played in this game. We're going to forget.
No, we're not.
We're going to forget he played for this franchise. That's
no, we're not.
We might do that, but maybe not for a few years. It'll probably be like a decade or two from now. We'll be like, oh, that's right. Chase Young played on Washington. That's right. They drafted him instead of Tua or Herbert, as everybody likes to remind us. All right. So we got the Chase Young one out of the way. We got a double dipper there on that one.
Brock Purdy will not finish the game
because of injury, non-injury related.
Non-injury related. Yeah.
We'll see the backup quarterback because the game is out of hand.
Could it be because he was benched again because of poor play? Because 4 more interceptions?
No, because they're trying to make the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. They want to keep him healthy.
All right. I will say that's not going to happen. So he plays the whole game, not injury related.
I'm trying to think of the times we've seen the backup quarterback, because we've seen the backup quarterback a couple times. but I want to say they've been in the games that have been completely out of hand. And I don't think a 34-20 game that I've called is necessarily a point where you're like, yeah, we're going to throw in the second stringer. We're talking the games like the Buffalo game, right? Like, when did we see the back?
We saw Kyle Allen.
We saw Kyle Allen. Where was the other one?
Was it Dallas?
It might have been Dallas that we've seen a backup there. I'm going to go with no on this one, Trev, only because I don't think it's necessarily.
What if they're up 31-7 in the fourth quarter and they take them out and we come in and we just score two garbage touchdowns and make it 34-20?
No, I think you had something. I think you had talked about this earlier where we're going to be. I think we're going to go into the fourth quarter feeling like the game's competitive, and then it's just going to go completely against us. Like, it might be. It might be like a 20-13 game going to the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden we blink and it's 34-13, and we score a touchdown with like 4 minutes left, and we're like, okay, well, if we onside kick or hold them down or something, like, maybe we can do it. Like, we start mathing in our head where that meme there, where the Always Sunny meme, where we're like trying to connect the dots, and we're like, we can do this. That's possible. Yeah, but it's not. Yeah. Yeah. So you're telling me there's a chance. We had a Jacoby Brissett one, less than 2 interceptions for Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, he's going to have less than 2 interceptions.
Agreed.
I think he throws 2.
Okay.
All right,
Trev with the action there, taking it. Yeah, I think he is more efficient there. I've talked about how he's going to be able to move the pocket. He's going to be getting the ball out quicker. In fact, let's stick with Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett is going to be sacked less than 3 times.
Did
three or less times? Let me clarify.
3 or less sacks, Jacoby? No. I'm going over on that.
Taking the over.
Yeah.
Even Sam Howell's been able to stay upright with his.
Yeah, I'm going 3 or less. I'll go with that.
All right, Nathan and Trev, good. Jacoby 3, less than 3 sacks. 3 or less. Is that what it was?
3 or less.
Or less. Sacks.
Dave saying he's going to be sacked 7 times. He's going to be a minimum of 3 sacks. I missed Yams, so I'll see if I can't find Yams. It might have been one of the ones I had accidentally took off Yams, so I do apologize. If you can put that back in the chat, we'll get to it there. Where are we? Yeah, EP, the lover of the backup quarterback, says he will not be sacked at all. Grim agreeing with us. Jacoby will be sacked less than 3 times. Oh, okay. So I copied Yams in essence. All right. Well, I apologize for that.
All right, I got one.
All right, let's see.
Jacoby Brissett, less than 24 pass attempts.
Greater than.
He'll get 25.
All right.
I know you have your theory, Stoner, but this is still Eric Benamy offense. Okay. He is going to throw the ball.
Jacoby.
It's just what Eric Benamy does.
Yeah,
he's had all season long to adjust and to run the ball, to protect his quarterback and everything. And we've still seen Sam Howell. I think Sam Howell, even in benching, has had nearly 24, drop backs. So yeah, I'm going to go with the over on this one.
You missed EPs, and I saw it earlier, so I'm going to go find it. Here it is right here.
Oh, no.
Jarrett freaking Patterson touchdown. Yeah, that ain't happening, love.
Ain't happening.
He ain't gonna see the Rock that much.
He ain't gonna see the Rock, period. He ain't gonna see the field. He ain't gonna see a game day jersey, I don't think.
You think he'll be inactive? Because we tend to do that.
Inactive.
We tend to elevate just to inactivate people.
I'm trying to envision where Jarrett Patterson gets playing time, right? So
we're down 40.
Chris Rodriguez is injured. Maybe they shut him down for this game. Brian Robinson, hamstring. They're going to shut him down because there's no sense of bringing him back and aggravating a hamstring injury that could potentially linger into next season. So that means you have Antonio Gibson. you bring up Derek Gore,
Mhm.
and you would have to bring up Jarrett Patterson at that point, right? Because Jonathan Williams is on IR.
I was going to say, yeah.
So you'd bring up him. So those two not, and then where does he play? I say this, he will register a snap. I don't know if it's an offensive snap or a special team snap, but Jarrett Patterson will register a snap.
No, he won't.
No, he won't.
All right. Trev and I are both on that. Registers a snap, Stoner and Nathan. Stoner.
I'm surprised he even picked up the phone.
Right? He probably can't reach it.
No other team picked him up. That was a disappointment for him, I'm sure.
Yeah,
we will. Less than 5 snaps for.
You need a job? Come on over here.
So, all right. We had Yam. I'm not going to miss this one, Yam. The run pass will still be 60-40, Yam says.
Yes.
Well,
that's it's because our lack of run game now.
That's a huge improvement on the run game.
Yeah,
to get to 40% run, that's a huge improvement because he's normally like 67-33. So yeah. All right.
It's gonna be pretty close to that.
Can we get to our survivor pick? It's been bugging me all day.
Let's get to our survivor pick. If you have another dollar, throw it in there. This is not an easy one. We were going to go with the Broncos, right? That's what Stoner and I were talking, and we're just like, you got to go with the Broncos because it's just the bigger, home advantage. And then all of a sudden, the news today, Wilson getting benched, and now I'm like, what are we going to do?
The theory is, and first of all, this is a 327 entrants, and we're down to 4. We're one of the 4 people left. We've gotten 16 consecutive correct survivor picks. We're down to 4, but we're in trouble here this week. And our theory has been that we've used all year that has worked for us. Number 1, you take a home team. Number 2, you take a home team with a good quarterback. And number 3, you go bum hunting, which means you look for them playing a bad team and hopefully with a second or third or fourth string quarterback. And that's worked well for us. Last week we took Philadelphia playing at home against the New York Giants and a third string quarterback, and then they went to their second string quarterback, and we almost got burned. But we didn't. Yep. We survived. That's all you got to do. So the teams that are the biggest win probability that we have left, first one you talked about was the Broncos. And we were probably going to go with them because of, like you said, they were at home, Russell Wilson against, I've already lost who they're playing. Oh, Chargers. They're playing the Chargers, who are playing a backup quarterback. Who's their quarterback again?
Easton Stick.
Right, Easton Stick. So we probably won't want to go with that. The second biggest favorite for this week is the Texans, who are playing at home against the Titans. But I'm not taking the Texans if they're playing. Who's their backup again? Beathard? Is it CJ Beathard?
I forgot.
And they just lost at home last week, too. They just lost at home.
And so did the Broncos, by the way, which is why I was worried about taking them. They did the exact thing that we didn't think that they would do. And that's what got one of the survivor people knocked out, is they had Denver. And they were at home playing a bad team with a backup
Case Keenum, by the way, was the starting quarterback.
Okay.
Davis Mills did end up coming in.
So they're playing the Titans, with Case Keenum. But if CJ Stroud plays, which he was limited in practice today, he was out there, he was limited. So he may play. That may be our pick. That's a 67% chance. Okay. The next one is the Colts at 64%, but they've got a backup quarterback. Although they're playing a backup quarterback, they're playing the Raiders, who are coming off a big win.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They just had a win this past week, a big win.
Yeah.
And they're fighting under their coach. So, and then the last one that we have a possibility for are the Bears. The Bears are at home with the starting quarterback, and they're playing the Falcons with Taylor Heineke.
I don't trust the Bears.
That's your choices.
This is hard.
The Bears, the Texans, the Colts, or the Broncos.
I don't
That's
know
all
if I
we
can
got
pick
left.
the Bears and let Taylor Heineke break my heart. I really, I
Right.
don't know. I don't know that I can cope with that. I don't know
'Cause-
that I can cope with that.
Or I
Can
guess
Jared
you could.
Stidham beat the Chargers for real? Can he?
Can he? Maybe. I think it's more Sean Payton beats the Chargers.
I mean, Bailey Zappi just beat the Broncos in Denver.
And yeah.
So
but
you
it
can't
is
take the
Easton's
Broncos
pick.
with
Yeah, I can't
Russell
take
Wilson.
I can't
We
do
can't
that.
do
I
that,
can't do
right?
that. I think you just take the Texans and just hope, but then you got Derrick Henry. Oh man.
Wait, was Texans a 67% one?
Yeah, Texans are 67%, and that's without knowing if CJ
Just not
Stroud will
good.
play.
I don't trust the Titans. They do have Derrick Henry, but he ain't playing quarterback.
The Colts are playing the Raiders.
And the Raiders are
The
coming
Raiders
off that
been hot.
Yeah.
The Raiders been hot.
They fired up for real now since
Jermaine
going
wants
Kansas
us to
City
go to the
win.
Bears.
I don't trust Justin Fields.
Yam was with the Bears. Doug asked me the Browns not available. I'm pretty sure we took Cleveland earlier on.
Yeah, they're not available. Unfortunately, they're playing the Jets this week, and they're not.
I'm
available.
saying go Texans just because CJ Stroud's the best quarterback who could possibly play out of the game.
But what if he doesn't play?
Case Keenum threw 2 interceptions.
If
Who
he
they
doesn't
play
play,
last
we
week,
got to
though?
pivot to the
The
Bears.
Browns.
Out of the draft. I'm going to go with Houston early, and then we'll see how things go
Okay.
with CJ
Me
Stroud.
too.
Yes. And then who's our backup?
Probably the Bears.
Bears.
Probably the Bears.
Probably the Bears. Not
Just
great.
because of Justin Fields.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not great with all the backup quarterbacks. Washington on their backup quarterback as Jacoby Brissett was named the starter today. It's going to be an interesting last 2 weeks, and we've
Watch
got
us
you
win.
covered. We'll have a Daily Commanders update for you tomorrow. We're moving the game preview to Friday night, so make sure you check that out as we have the 49ers side of things when it comes to the game coming up here. We're going to have questions for how Chase Young has been integrating, whether or not Brock Purdy's a game manager. So you're going to want to check that on Friday. Of course, Sunday, we are also going to be doing our game live play-by-play and commentary. So you're going to want to check that out. It's a lot of fun. Start off your New Year's Eve festivities the right way and watch Ref the District on there. We'll have your instant reaction afterwards. And I really hope we don't have to see the bag brought out again as Stoner is bringing out the bag right now for us. The I Hate It Here, Don't Sleep, Ref the District, Washington Commanders bag. We appreciate everybody in the chat today who made it a lot of fun and kept things interesting. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to this on audio, make sure you leave us a rating and review. It helps people find the channel. We're presented by Bet Online. And until next time,
Don't draft Caleb Williams.
oh, be a fan.